Okay, so this is my first Corona tutorial, and I'm just going to show you how to do something because I've looked in the forums and everyone says you can't really do it, it doesn't work properly, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So the problem is hair and fur in Corona. And we're looking at carpets or making it so you can see the texture. Alright, so here it's covered in the Corona forum, and people are talking about it and they're discussing ways of doing it. And here someone shows a way of doing it, but it's not that effective or that great. And then in the end, and this is December 2019, right? So this isn't that long ago. Maru here from the Corona team, he says, this was already discussed many times, and sadly it looks like a limitation we are not able to overcome. However, they have overcome it. It can absolutely be done, and it isn't hard to do. Here, another one discusses, hair and fur map issues, and they're discussing it. Yeah, Maru is like the dude, it seems, when it comes to Corona. Right now, it seems that it's not possible to texture hair and fur in a similar way using Corona materials. At least I did not find a way to do it. Okay, so it can be done, and I'll show you how, and it isn't that hard. What you do is, I've opened 3ds Max. I'm just going to click on here, render setup. You can also press F10, and I'm going to change this to Corona. And I'm going to close this. This is just so I get the Corona materials in the material editor. So I'm going to open my material editor, and if you click on this button here and you get the compact material editor, you can just hold and you can choose either compact or slate. So let's just open the slate one, and we're going to go to Corona. We're going to grab a Corona material, drag it over here, and what I want to do is I'm just going to get a plane, and I'm just going to put it in there, and I want to assign this material to it. And this isn't what I would normally do. Like, normally I would get an actual texture and assign it also to the hair and fur. But I'm just trying to make it so we can really see the difference between the background and the hair and fur. So I can adjust that afterwards and assign the texture to the background as well. So now we have the plane. What I'm going to do is, let's just make this a carpet size. Let's say width. We're not going to make it big because this is just a test just to show you. And let's try 1,000. But more like a rug size. Okay, that's good. And there's no reason to have 4 length segments and 4 width segments, so we're going to zero those out. And I'm going to press M again, open the material editor, and I'm going to come here and go into Firefox. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to search, let's just use a Persian rug. And let's look at images. And I don't just want any, I want large ones, so we're going to go Tools and Size and Large. Alright. So let's see if we can find one that we like. Doesn't really matter, that will do. That's 2,524 pixels by 3,684, so that's pretty good. Save image as. I just right clicked on it, click Save Image As. Make sure this says JPEG, because sometimes it comes in with a web page and you have to use a different thing. But we're going to save it here in carpet, and we're going to call it, let's go. Let's leave some of this detail on here. It's kind of cool and important. And we're going to call this Persian rug. Okay. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to open up Windows Explorer. And I'm going to click here on the maps. I saved that one out in flooring and carpet, and it's right here. I'm just going to drag this and drop it over here. And so now it's coming as a bitmap. And the next thing to do, I'm just going to close this material editor briefly. So I'm just going to assign, actually let's give this a name. Let's call this Persian rug. And I'm just going to come in here into the modified tab. And I'm going to add hair and fur right there, world space modifier. I'm going to press F3 and I'm going to press G to get rid of the grid. I really don't like it. That's just me. Feel free to leave it there. Okay, I'm going to go top view again. I'm just going to set up some basic lighting, and I'm just going to set up some basic lighting in the camera. So we're just going to do that, and I'm going to change this from spherical to rectangle, and I'm going to change the intensity to about 200. And I'm I mean, this is not even studio lighting, right? This is just some basic lighting so we can see the texture. Go T and Z for zoom again. Press F3 so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to click here on the Create tab. I'm going to go on the camera, and I'm just going to use a standard physical camera for this. You can also use a Corona camera. And I'm just going to do that. And let's go into camera view here. Just press C. Go into the camera view. See, it tells me it's in camera view here. And I'm going to go on front view here. And I'm just going to lift this up. Alright, let's go top view again. And just swing this around here. And we're going to get this. Oops. Just take the target, swing around. I'm just getting this so it's where I want it to be. And just lower this down. And take the camera, bring that in. Okay, great. Click here again on the Modify tab. And we're going to edit these in a minute. But basically all you need to do is come down, close styling. We're not going to style anything. Material parameters. And we've got tip color and root color here. So what we're going to do is M for the material editor again. And bring this bitmap and just put it into there. Should be able to just bring that over and drag and drop. There we go. To make that an instance. And we can take it into root color, make that an instance. What I'm going to do next is I'm just going to open this up and I'm going to start interactive rendering. And just go on scene, start interactive. I haven't changed any of these settings. These are all just default out of the box. And I'm using Corona 5.0. Okay. So we're just going to make some adjustments here to get this looking how we want it to look. So again, open the material editor and double click on this guy and click apply, click view image. And we've got this white edge. Now this is interesting because this is white, but this here is coming through as these colors. Okay, and that's important. So actually, before we adjust this, let's adjust these. So if I make these completely white, and I'm going to do that by just taking this value and putting 255 in, and taking this saturation and making this 0, and click OK. And you can see this changes, and drag and drop that over there, and click copy. And again, you can see that changes, and the same will happen again, just out of interest, if I make this black. That changes, and if I drag it down, you see? So you see how much this affects it. So we're just going to undo these last, I can't undo them for some reason. Okay, I'm going to drag and drop the mutant color, which is white, over here. And I'm just going to click on this to just show you, see that's white. Alright, so I'm just going to drag and drop that over there, and click copy again. And now we have this. So you get the idea of what's happening, is these base colors are coming through here. But we're not going to worry about that. Let's drag this over here. And drag this over here. I'm just cutting off this white edge here. There's no reason to have it. And drag it over there. And drag it up to there. And this hasn't seemed to change, which is odd. Should have changed. Oh, hang on. I haven't clicked apply. You've got to click apply on here, and then we'll see it change. Okay. But it doesn't really help much. We still have this problem. So what we're going to do to handle this is we're just going to click on here, and we're just going to click on output, and we're going to turn this on, enable color map. There we go. It's just because it's rendering real time. So we're going to add in a point here, we're going to put it in here, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to right click on this guy and make him Bezier smooth, and I'm going to take these handles and pull them up, something like that. And then I'm going to click here where this guy is and pull it down. And do that. And see, I've got too much black here. I don't want to have that much black. So more like that. So the next thing is, let's adjust this carpet settings so we can actually see it as a carpet. It doesn't look like grass. So we're just going to take general parameters. I'm going to put this up to 30,000. And I'm going to come down and make these random scale. Let's see, root thickness, make this 2. Tip thickness, make this 2. I'd probably lower these for in actual production, like I lower this down to 1 or 0.5, but I'm trying to show you without having too much without taking too much time while it calculates everything. So these are way too long. Scale set at 100, so let's change it down to 20. And let's adjust the camera so we can see what the hell we're doing. I'm just going to move this over there for a second. I'll bring it back. I'm just going to adjust it in this frame. Just clicking here on the camera and clicking here. See, I've got the camera and the target selected. I just want the target. And just drag that down. And the camera again, and bring this guy in and closer. And target down a bit more. And just going to drag the target over. And click here again on this. Okay. So now we have that. And let's open this up. And let's look at our rug. So this is our rug texture. And this is what we're getting. So rug texture. And what we're getting. So we need to have, again, it's still, more contrast in there, more saturation, whatever you want to say. This is probably slightly too long. Obviously, it's a Persian rug. They don't become hairy like this. What I'm going to do is just go back into the material editor, and we're just going to play around with this output. Actually, there's two things we can do. For now, we're going to play around with this. I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag this over here. You can see how dark it looks in here compared to here, right? Now we have a problem that the gray is coming through from the background. Like if I'm breaking this all the way down to here, it's still going to be gray. And the reason is hairs, and see it's getting like this. So the hair itself, you can see through the hair partly. So the gray is lightening the hair. So let's bring this back up to like there. Let's just select the background plane. And I've got this material on it. I'm just going to put this directly into the diffuse. So now we see that, and I've got to shorten this hair and do some other changes to it. So the hair is set at 20, let's shorten it down to 5, and you can see the colors really coming through from the texture itself now, and not so much from the hair. So we need to get the hair count pushed up, so let's try 1 million, and suddenly we're into the realm where it doesn't render in 5 seconds. I find this is the biggest problem with Corona hair. It's doing the test to get it right. It just takes forever. Alright, I'm going to scale this back. Because even though we're getting it here, you can't tell what's the hair and fur. And I haven't done it high enough resolution so you can actually zoom in and see. So we need to adjust this. And also it's taking too long for my tests. So if I just double click here, this will come in. Alright, so let's take this and take this back down to 10,000, and let's take this root thickness up to 10 and tip thickness to 10. And so this is like 1 centimeter per piece of hair. Alright, so now we can come back in and just turn back on interactive. I'm just thinking let's get this right in the interactive. Alright, let's take this out of here. It's on 100,000. Okay, so that's how it's looking. So that's with the hair and fur, and we can come in here and we can click on this plus, and I'm going to go 2D pan zoom mode, and that allows me to zoom in, and this will update without having to move the camera. I'm just going to use the middle mouse wheel to zoom in here, and you can see what's happening here with these massive bits of fur, hair and fur I've put in there. Alright, so that's why I did it large, so we could see what was going on. And again, you can see this is just the hair and fur, not the background image. So we're going to come out of 2D pan zoom mode, and let's look at the image itself and compare it to this. So the colors here are slightly brighter. I'm going to take this. I've already got this output curve in here, and I want to put another output curve in. So I'm going to right click, change material map type, and I'm going to go maps general, and I'm going to put output on. And keep old map as submap. And the reason I'm doing this is now replaced. These two here are now replaced by this guy. And so that's what the update's doing. It's just saying, okay, the output now is in here instead, but the output doesn't do anything, right? If I double click here, alright, so we're going to enable this color map, and we're going to add a point. Click on here, and I'm going to add 2 points. I'm going to put 1 in here, and I'm going to put 1 in here. and I'm going to right click, and by right clicking it's going to go from add point over to move. So right click there, right click on this guy, make him Bezier smooth, and put that up like that. And do the same with this one, Bezier smooth. Oops, just select him and drag the handles. And I'm going to push this guy up, and that's going to make the brights brighter, and drag this down, and the darks darker. And that's, you know, just increasing the contrast in the image there. And you can always adjust these. These are just rough, yeah? I've just put them in roughly. You don't have to go, oh, what's the exact settings, and copy them. I'm just eyeballing this. And then what we want to do, again, is just do a start interactive. And you'll see this will be darker and lighter. So we'll get more variation in the texture now. Okay, well, that's not done what I expected. It's become darker and darker. So let's drag this up. Okay, and let's drag this guy up. So that's why I said I'm just eyeballing it. I'm just trying to get it roughly right. And that's what I'm after. Now we can see this, and this is quite dark here. But again, it's also reflecting black. I've got no environment, so it's reflecting black. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to right click on this again, and change material map type, and I'm going to put color correction. So just double click on there, keep old map as submap again. So now again, it's going to just take a second to replace the maps here with this one. And then there'll be no change here because obviously I've not changed this at all. Just double click on this guy. And the reason I'm doing this is just so I can increase the saturation or decrease the saturation if I like. So in this case, let's just increase it, and these colors now will change. You can see them popping a bit more, and you can increase this more if you like. And we've got that. And if we look at the original image, that's the original image. So we can see the original image here, and it's coming through here quite nicely. So the next thing to do, and I'm just going to increase here this hair count. Let's make these root thickness 2 and 2. Remember in production, well, okay, I'll show you in production. In production, I would make this down to 0.5, and I'd make this down to, I'm just showing you how I would create this, 0.5. I would make this, I didn't mean to be in subobject mode there at all, I'm not sure where that happened. So I'd set these down to about this. This is in millimeters, so these are now 0.5 millimeter thick, if you think of the thickness of a hair. Clumping parameters, and I'm going to set this at like, let's say 100. The maximum strength is 1, so we're going to set this at like 0.1 and 0.1. Just make these all, you just want some slight adjustments. Flyaway, this is again percentage, let's just make this at 5. I don't think you go higher than 1 on any of these, so this is 0.1. And custom shader, this doesn't work, so don't bother with that, just leave it off. I've got these in here, hue variation 10, value variation 50. Let's make this hue variation 5. Specular, I think that's a bit high. Let's come down to 50. Glossiness is a bit high. Let's come down to 70. Self shadow and geometry shadow can be left where it is. And I'm going to take this hair count, and I would either do like 1 million, somewhere between 1 million and 2 million. So we're just going to set this up at 2 million. And the rest of this should be fine. Now if I come into this is going to take a little while to calculate. It's going to take like 4 or 5 minutes. So I'm just going to start interactive. Okay. I think this is going now, so we're just going to click here and go into 2D pan zoom mode. And we're going to zoom in. And you can see all the hairs there. And the tip length should be different, but as soon as I click on that, we're going to, you know, right now it's like a box on the end. And so that tip length should be different. And I need to assign the material to this overall. But the point is simply to show you that it can be done and what to do. So here, if I stop this, I'm just going to adjust this. There's no reason to leave it. I'm going to make the tip thickness 0. Let me just look at my map. See, I've got the gray coming through here. So I'm just going to have a quick look at this one. View image. And I'm just going to drag this over a bit. I think it's up there coming through. I'm going to drag all of these in a little. I'm going to drag this up a bit. And this one down a bit. And like I said, let's assign this to this material here. Actually, that's going to be really dark, so I'm just going to take this guy and take this, and okay, I'm going to go into the output here, and I'm just going to click on this delete point, and I'm going to assign this directly into the diffuse. And this can be adjusted in exactly the same way we did with these, if this is coming out too light or too dark. But you know what, it's alright. I could go in and work to perfect this. It's not really the point. I would also not use a plane. If I did use a plane, I'd put an edit poly on it. Come in here, select the top plane, extrude this up. Let's come up 3 millimeters. And then I would, if we could just put a chamfer directly on top of this. Bear in mind there's no bottom plane because of the way I've done this from a plane. And I'm going to change this to 2 millimeter. And I'm going to change these segments to 2. Actually, let's leave them at 1, and I'll put a turbo smooth on in a second. And then we're going to go top view, and put an edit poly on, and go into edge mode, and select these across here. Oh, square to rectangle, sorry. And just so you know, in my settings, if my preferences, I've turned on auto window crossing by direction. And so I can come in here and just select these ones. And that's what that allows me to do. And then I'm just going to connect these. And let's try 30. And I'm going to connect these. And let's try 15. Let's try 20. I'm just trying to make these roughly square. And then I'm going to put a noise on here. And we're going to go sideways. So let's, if I could just put this at 100, you can see what it's doing. I'm obviously not going to go that far, but let's put this at 30. Let's put it at 10. Actually, if I leave it at 100 and do less, so sometimes I'll do this. I'll put the scale, let's put it at 1,000. See, that's kind of cool. You get a very slight bump at 800. You get this very slight bend in it, or wave. Let's go back to 1,000. I like that more. And Y, we can do the same. And then we can put another noise on. Oh, and on this noise, let's go Z. And bear in mind, this is only 3 millimeters high, right? So let's just do 1 millimeter. Let's turn that off. You can also turn on fractal. And now I'll add some more variation in there. But then now we'll need to drop this down to like 50 and 50. See, that's probably better. Okay, 30 and 30, that's good. And then it comes to the second noise here, turn that on. Oops. And turn on fractal. And let's set this at 10, 10, and again 1. So we still know the lowest that's going to be is -2. And let's set it at 100. See, that's quite far there. Probably don't want that much, so let's try 5 and 5. So we've got this going on, and then we're going to go turbo smooth. And I might even set that at 2, but I think 1's fine. Okay, so that's how I'd make a rug. And we've got the texture already on there and applied. So we're just going to go back in here, and I'm going to turn back on hair and fur. And now we're going to do the render, and I'm just going to leave it at this. Now, an important point to realize is these settings are not set in stone, right? They're just rough. And so when you're doing this, like, don't expect to use my settings in your render scene and expect them to work perfectly. But that's how you would adjust it in order to get them working. I hope this also makes sense that what we're doing is we're fighting against this white coming through. Because as Maro says, like, there is an issue here with this. This should not be coming through. Right, this map should be overriding this completely, but it isn't. So, and what we're doing by putting in the output and putting in the color correction is we're fighting this white that's obviously going to bleach the texture on the hair and fur. Alright, so that's calculated. Again, 2D pan zoom mode. And you can see the hair and fur there. And I know a Persian rug isn't hairy like this, but that's not really the point of this tutorial. And you can see that it's doing exactly what we wanted it to do. And you've got all these textures coming through. You've got all this detail in there. So use this with your rugs, and that'll work. That's exactly how you get hair and fur working on a rug in 3ds Max with Corona. Good luck.